I would like to introduce myself. My name is Vanessa Edmonds, and I am the Executive Director and the co-founder of the Utility 2030 Collaborative. I'm really excited to be here today and speaking on this topic with these esteemed panelists. Just to give you a little context about Utility 2030, people say, well, what do you all do? And we are, at the very basic level, a knowledge exchange service. There's a lot of really great knowledge exchange services in our industry. What we do different is that we really, not that everybody doesn't care about the whole person, but we are about developing people. So when people talk in terms of companies are made up of employees and employees are made up of people, and we don't believe that you can separate the people from the company. So we really focus on things like transformative leadership skills. Utilities will come to us and say, hey, we're trying to figure out how to provide more accurate ETRs. That might be an example. And while we're working on that problem, we have experts who come in and teach different ways to lead, teach D&I, different things like that. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to be here with these people. Economic uncertainty is our topic today, and I am not an economist, so I want to start with that. But I wanted to say, as you'll notice, that the people on our panel aren't exactly the people up on the screen, and the reason for that is economic uncertainty. Some of our panelists had to cancel at the last minute because of things going on with their companies that have to do with the economy and things that are going on at their utilities. And so I really want to thank these people for stepping in. We all met last night over appetizers and said we're going to wing it, so we're really glad that you're here with us. I'm going to start out, I'm going to introduce each of them, and then I would like you to tell us, because we know there's a million other things you could be doing today and a million other panel opportunities, why this topic's important and why being at ETS is important. So we're going to start with Andrea Blomquist. Andrea is with City of Roseville, and City of Roseville is a member of the Utility 2030 Collaborative. With over 2 decades of experience in the customer care and experience field, Andrea has a wealth of knowledge regarding software systems and processes needed to provide customers with timely, accurate information and a great user experience. As the Senior Energy Services Account Rep for the City of Roseville, she has honed her skills when it comes to leading a team, identifying business processes, and implementing technology. She has 23 years of experience in CX, billing, collections, fieldwork, CIS, rates, programs, key accounts, and various system integrations. In addition, she is skilled in budgeting, problem solving, and communication. She is passionate about coaching her team and is proud of the history of successful projects her team has completed during her time in the public sector.
I feel like that makes me sound way more amazing than I am.
You are pretty cool. You are pretty good.
I think I'm here today. Economic uncertainty is something all the utilities are playing with. We don't really know what's going to happen next. It's rising rates, rising prices. What do we do, and how do we get around the need for technology and what's happening?
Thank you for that. The next person I want to introduce is Kim Getchkin. You say Getchkin, don't you? Kim is reinventing the innovation process to help utilities make the transition to clean, reliable power faster. As founder and CEO of Innovation Force, her mission is to simplify the often complicated innovation process with a revolutionary patent-pending SaaS platform that automates innovation through proven, repeatable processes. She has received recognition for her work in the energy industry from Presidents Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, and she is an alumni of the Harvard Business School and Oxford University. And before you tell us, I would like to share a fun fact. So if you Google her, which I did, anytime someone's going to be on my panel, Kim actually sold her Land Rover to fund the company and building this software. So that is dedication, and it comes up at the top of the news, so please Google her. It's a fun story.
That's how much I believe in innovation in the utility space. So we do believe that innovation can be the greatest weapon to mitigate climate change. And so why I'm here today is I do believe in the potential of human ingenuity. And I think there's no better time than to harness the power of human ingenuity than during times of economic uncertainty. So I think this is going to be a great panel, and we can walk away with maybe some real takeaways on what you can take back to your utilities and do things at low cost affordably.
Thank you. Daniel, hi.
Hey.
Hey. Daniel has over 17 years of experience in renewable energy technology, project development, finance, and construction. His renewable energy projects have been recognized by the United States Congress and the White House. Daniel's prior leadership roles have included head of renewables, business, how do you, Adani, thank you, USA. It's late, I'm sorry. And Chief Development Officer of Dynamic Energy, New Pattern. He also is the Chief Strategy Officer of Safari Energy, acquired by PPL. In these capacities, he executed many of the first and largest renewable projects in the US. He leads Acme's U.S. business, including renewable and green hydrogen, ammonia project delivery. Acme builds the world's first solar to green hydrogen project. Daniel founded Clean Tech Industry Resources, and he does have a table out there if you want to visit him after this. I'm sure he would love that, which has commoditized renewable energy project development as a service and engineering for the first time. Daniel co-founded Solar Fight Night, the largest solar nonprofit fundraising event in the world. He's owner of Sherrod Estates, a sustainable real estate development and property technologies company. He's a certified solar designer, MBA Stanford certified project manager, Villanova certified Six Sigma Master Lean Black Belt, and holds dozens of certificates in energy hedging, grid infrastructure, and hydrogen conversion and storage. And a fun fact is he has 3 daughters that are very small, 5 and under, twins, Carolyn and Marilyn, and then he has Dorothy. They were all named after grandmas, so he is a very busy man.
Yeah, that's the hardest job, that last one. I'm here because at CIR we're working every day to automate the renewable energy project development, finance, execution processes, including developing a variety of AI tools internally. And I'm actually not doing it because I have any special passion for doing so. We're doing it because we fear the unknown, we fear economic uncertainty, and these are tools to help us address that. So happy to be here.
Thank you. So now we're going to turn it to you. If all of you, same thing, you could be a million other places, but you're here. Thank you. Some of you I begged and pleaded, and you're here, and I thank you for that. Hi, Joan. So if some of you would like to share when you read about this session, why you chose this over the other 2 amazing sessions that are going on, if we could just get a couple people to tell us what they're hoping to get out of it or what caught your eye.
All right, I'll go.
Thank you.
A lot of the titles haven't quite followed what was discussed. So leveraging technology for sustainable growth. Your definitions on what sustainable growth is. And technology could be an outlet or it could be a data center. But it's interesting what you're thinking.
That's a hard one. Thank you.
We all might be thinking something different.
I know, that's true. How about a couple others?
I can take a shot since
Yep.
you called me out. John, Avenger, and Color. A lot of our work is in the DPI space. So we do a lot of work with CBOs, community outreach, equity. So I've been attending a lot of the sessions today that are around equity and serving underserved populations. So for me, the title economic uncertainty is what lower income populations are dealing with, and they're quite often maybe not technologically savvy. So to me, the title is a bit of an oxymoron, where some of the low income, moderate income, historically underserved communities might not have access to technology. So I'm curious if any of you have thoughts on how to bring some of these technologies, whatever you're going to talk about, to those who are experiencing the worst of the economic uncertainty.
Thank you. Okay, one more. And if someone doesn't volunteer, I'll volunteer you. Hi.
I'm David Guerrero, Resource Strategy Manager for New Braunfels Utilities, so about 1 hour south of here. The leveraging technology for sustainable growth is what drew me in. Specifically, we've grown rapidly over the past decade in our town, and to a point where it seems like it would be unsustainable, but I'd say we're doing a decent job managing it. So leaning into the sustainable growth and leveraging technology, optimizing our resources, whether it just be only electrification, which our town is really flip-flop on that, so it's an agnostic approach, and leveraging the technologies we have all those resources, mixed portfolio, make them optimized, and that's what
Okay.
Complicated.
Does anybody in the room, have you ever heard of the term wicked problems or wicked studies, which is being taught in universities? Anyone want to guess? It's not like devil, demon possession. I know, that's like originally what people think, right? So wicked problem, my daughter is actually going to go up to Virginia next year, and she wants to minor in what's called wicked studies. And it's problems with many interdependent factors making them seem impossible to solve. Because these factors are often incomplete, in flux, and difficult to define, solving wicked problems requires a deep understanding of the stakeholders involved and an innovative approach to design thinking. So some examples of this are climate change, inequality, poverty, world hunger, extreme weather events, and economic uncertainty. So I'm going to turn it to the panel now, and we're going to ask the first question here. And each of you, I think that to start us off, could you share your thoughts on economic uncertainty and its impact on utilities? We're in an election year. I know everyone hears that, and they're. Who wants to start us off?
I guess I can start from like the customer side of the house. I'm the only utility up here right now. So I think for us, it's a combination of how does it affect our customers? What are we going to do? How does it affect the utility? How can we afford to keep competitive rates? How can we still provide the technology that our customers want? How can we balance out the need for technology inside the utility as well as managing staff, people costs versus technology costs, and where do you go from that? So I think there's a lot there. Costs are rising. Supply chain issues means costs keep rising. And it comes right back to our customers and our rates.
Absolutely. Kim, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, for me, so we're privileged that we get the opportunity to see what utilities are working on in their innovation portfolio. And so there's a lot of challenges that they're trying to solve. And of course, things need to be done affordably. And I think there's a great opportunity now with technology, with AI, cloud-based technologies, software, lots of opportunities for utilities to be experimenting with some of these new technologies and then be able to participate in some of the savings. And so, you know, one thing that I get to see is some of the utilities working with like AI at the grid edge. I'll call out Portland General Electric as an example. I think they're doing a great job. They're working on an AI chip that's going in meters to be able to do some really cool things around electrical vehicle, their fleet, and electrifying the transportation piece at the grid edge. So there's like lots of ways to take advantage of technologies. But the question is for all of us, I think in the room, is, you know, the business model. And the thing that I hear a lot when I'm working with utilities and helping them get over the hurdle is, wow, I found this awesome software technology, something that's going to help me, but it's going to be a kick in my OpEx. And I'm on my business model really incented to drive capital. And so I think what we really need to be thinking about in our business models is potentially a shift and a change, to be thinking about how can we reallocate capital by using really inventive and disruptive software solutions to reallocate capital to do the things that are really important, like generate cleaner power. And I'm sure Daniel's going to be able to fill us all in on more of that and what he's doing, but you know, really be thinking about business models and how can you use innovation, but don't look at it from the point of view of like we're not allocating capital, or you know, able to capitalize some of these investments. How do we reallocate capital and use OpEx in a really smart way to save overall and then deliver what our customers are looking for?
Mm-hmm. What Kim said. I think for the utilities we work with, by far the greatest risk right now is legislative. You have massive legislative issues coming at the local, state, federal issues, and it creates an enormous amount of execution, delivery, finance, balance sheet risk to comply with and adopt to this rapidly changing environment. And it's also an enormous opportunity, right? NextEra had a larger market cap than ExxonMobil for the first time ever, and it was not because of their traditional utilities business. It was because of their early adoption and race towards their renewable energy business, the deregulated business. And so while there is a tremendous amount of uncertainty, risk reward, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. So I agree with everything Kim said about why and how utilities are facing the risk and how they're adopting. And we often put the tools of adoption in their hand. So looking forward to talk more about that.
Thank you very much. Any questions about what they've said? This is your session. So you guys speak up if you need to.
When they get to it, Mr. Buffett's left.
Okay. Okay, so next question is, how do you perceive the role of innovation in shaping the future trajectory of the utility companies? And you've touched on that a little bit. Are there additional thoughts amidst economic uncertainties?
I'll share a case study.
Awesome.
So as outside of utilities, but I think this might give us all a little bit of inspiration. So one of my co-founders, Dr. Linda Hill, she wrote a book called Collective Genius. If you guys are interested in innovation, I would Google her, not me. Google Linda Hill, and you'll see her TED Talk on innovation. It's awesome. But one of her case studies in her book is about Pixar. And we all look up to Pixar, right? Like, wow, you know, like so innovative, imaginative, like, we want to do what Pixar's doing, right? Well, one of the case studies in Linda's book is about Pixar had a dilemma, and they had Toy Story coming out at the same time as a couple other movies, and they didn't have enough technology to be able to put all that animation out at the same time, and they had limited resources. And so they went back to the board and they said, we need more money, we need more people, give us, we're going to make all this money on these movies, give us more. And they said, no, your budget doesn't change. You have to solve this dilemma. And by the way, both movies are coming out at the same time. Go figure it out. And they kept going back and asking for more. And finally, the teams came together and they said, we got to solve this problem. And so what it boiled down to was human ingenuity. They ended up shipping animated computers, like the computers that were doing all the high-tech graphics. They found computers in Los Angeles and were able to ship them up to San Francisco and loaded them up on a bunch of U-Haul trucks, and the technology went north and they were able to make the movie. We're here at utilities going, gosh, we're so resource constrained. How do we do all this? Look to these examples like Pixar. Even the Fortune 500 companies we admire are in the same situation we're in. So use it as a challenge. How can you pull together in some times of economic hardship? And sometimes some of the best, most creative ideas can come out of that pressure cooker. And so I guess for me, that was really inspirational. And I use that case study with a lot of the utilities I work with because they hope that they could just have a little bit more people, a little bit more money. That's not always an option, but the amazing results could happen as a result of really pushing yourself up against the wall and figuring out what could be the potential. So hopefully that's somewhat helpful, but yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? And so I think there's a lot of really good solutions that come from times of hardship.
And is that available on audiobooks, do you know?
It is. Linda's book is available on Audible, so yeah, Collective Genius.
My husband likes to argue that I'm not reading, but I like to argue that I'm multitasking and I am exercising well. So all of my books have to be on audio. Okay. Daniel, what about you, DERs? I know you had some perspectives on this related to DERs.
Yeah, of course. I think building subject matter expertise internally is extremely challenging and takes a lot of time. And when you're facing uncertainty, risk, and a rapidly evolving landscape, you don't have time. So seeing a bunch of great utility, private, public partnerships and third-party partnerships established to help rapidly accelerate whatever's happening internally while utilities are building their own internal teams and subject matter experts, which can take years when you may not have years, gives you access to additional technologies, whether it's software, artificial intelligence, et cetera. We operate over 34 different software platforms, and we make those available to third parties along with the user and user expertise so that they can rapidly adopt that technology internally while they're learning about it and make better educated guesses on how to deploy and execute. So I think partnerships is important. We've seen a lot of great mergers and acquisition, M&A activity in the space, utilities acquiring, like by prior shop Safari Energy, to rapidly internalize that skill set, acquire the team, expertise, et cetera. So I think a few good routes there.
Very good. How about on the customer side?
What he said.
Yeah.
From a utility perspective, we're kind of facing the same thing. You go a little bit to talent and retaining people and hiring and not having a deep skill set on what they're going to be working on or what you might assign them. And the partnership piece is hugely important. Being willing to reach out and get consultants to come in to help you bring in new technology to kind of offset those things. But you really can't do it alone. Today, it's just not the market to say, we've got this all in-house. We've got great staff, it's huge, everybody can do everything. So reduce number of people, reduce budgets, what are you going to do? And it's really just about picking the right initiative that you're at and working with a consultant to help us move forward. It's also, I feel like we do a lot of studies now to determine where the right direction is for our customers. We talk to our customers a lot. Those pieces are really important to us. It helps us move. Also, I don't know if anybody knows, Rosal's in California, so we have a super fun time with everything that's going on. Yeah, just trying to keep up. It's impossible to keep up alone.
Absolutely. So next question, specific examples of technology investments. So if somebody was like, how do I prioritize? There's so many, what do you think is going to get people or utilities the biggest bang for their buck?
I can start from the customer side. For us, we have a specific example that moving on to a new, more useful platform for customer self-service completely changed our business, full transformation in terms of staffing. Our calls went down significantly. Our customers are happier. They're doing everything on their own. The size of the customer service center shrunk significantly. It didn't necessarily take away jobs, so I'll throw that out there. We moved those to other areas of the business through knowledge and training, but really that one thing made us just a huge change right up front on those frontline employees and our customers' happiness. So big bang for your buck right away.
And we are a Utility 2030, we're technology agnostic, but can you tell us what solution you chose for that?
Yeah, so we're on the Kayenta Harris product for CIS, and we use their own customer self-service, and we're in the process of selecting a new one right now just to keep everything fresh. So it's been 5 years, we'll put a new one up and we'll see what goes.
So is the one you've been using their Silver Blaze? Is that the?
No, we started before Silver Blaze, so
Okay,
it's their.
so it's an older.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. There's a lot of good options out there, so.
Yeah.
Okay, same question?
So for me, it's a little combined. So everybody talks a lot about AI. You know, AI, great, but AI, there's a lot of data involved. How do you get that data from your equipment back to a cloud to be able to tune your algorithms to make that AI actually something that's functionally useful? And so one thing that I'm seeing that's interesting technology advancements is actually in the realm of cellular, 5G. How are we getting all of this data backhauled into the cloud affordably? And so I'm seeing a lot of utilities kind of it's piecing together those partnerships, the ecosystem of, okay, great, I have an AI algorithm that's going to go on a chip inside of a meter, but then how do I transition all that over to the cloud? And so I'm seeing some really interesting disruptive technologies coming at the grid edge, but also using cellular in ways that are affordable, so without the need of building private infrastructure. So lots of really cool ingenuity going on, because it was like we thought we solved the problem, but then it was another problem and another and another, and you're like, okay, great, I can get the data, I can get the algorithm, I can put it in the meter, but how am I going to fine tune all of this? And so it caused some of the utilities we worked with to think about actually cellular differently instead of deploying a lot of private infrastructure. So, yeah.
Renewables.
Oh, you took the word
It's
right
your
out of my,
sweet spot,
right out.
yeah.
Yes, that is kind of my answer for everything. More renewables faster, but I think if for our utility partners, what I get concerned about on their behalf is the voice of the customer, and this goes right back to traditional, MBA 101 here. What is the voice of your customer? What are they asking for today? What will they be asking for in 5 to 10 years? Because for the first time ever, the utility industry started in the late 1880s on a monopolized basis, but the monopoly is not going to matter in 10, 20 years. Your customer will be able to go direct to on-site generation, renewables, hydrogen, battery storage, and they can just say, thanks, no thanks, utility. We don't need that. And you already see this happening now with the bulge bracket tech firms, but that's going to trickle out to even mom and pops. And that's a foundational change. And so if I'm a utility, I'm asking myself, how do I solve for my customers' needs and demands? And how do I do it quickly? And how do I rank those technology options and adoption accordingly? It's number one.
I'm really happy that you brought up Voice of the Customer program. So Valerie Williams, who was originally going to be on this panel, she is the senior manager of Voice of the Customer programs for Liberty Utilities. And she has, with Utility 2030, built a playbook. So if you are wondering, how do I build a program? Like, what should I consider? As a thank you just for coming, please email me. I will send you that playbook. She's done an amazing job spearheading that. And that was going to be her input if she was participating on the panel. So it's like she's here in spirit, and we love her, don't we?
Yes, Valerie's amazing.
Valerie's amazing. Kim, I did want to come back to, because you have your own technology, and this is not obviously a sales presentation. We have an event coming up in May, and it's on breaking down silos to get to the data, right? Data's in a lot of silos. And so I actually met Kim because she said, I have a technology solution, and if you could just explain the analogy of the hanger. I'm in love with your analogy because it works so well.
And this is a free resource, everybody. So
Yes,
in the spirit of
it's pretty cool. I'm excited to use it. At the
yeah,
moment.
if you go to Innovation Force, so it's the hangar, innovationforce.io. We have we've scraped the internet. We work with utilities. We have over 500 challenges. that utilities are working on around the world. So 500 challenges, and then we're starting to bring in some of the solution providers with solutions. And then the next step in the hangar, this is all free, but the next step will be the matchmaking piece. So if you're a utility with a challenge, you could give us your R&D plan. Pacific Gas and Electric did. We put all of their challenges in our free hangar, and now solutions providers are coming in saying, hey, I solved that problem. And so now utilities can go in. We have like, I think around 150 utility professionals now in the hangar, and they're looking at things like, okay, well, what's trending? Give me an AI solution. You know, what's interesting, what's unique. We have the GRIP projects that are in there. You could just search on DOE if you wanted. But all of that, and it'll give you a taste of what some of your peers are working on. We believe in ecosystem collaboration to push innovation. So our software platform is an automated workflow that takes ideas from the beginning all the way through your pilot process. And we believe in trying to get you through pilot hell faster. So at Portland General Electric, which has been our flagship customer, we've been prototyping this with them for over 2 years to get to our cloud-based version of the software. They're making decisions 85% faster. They shaved 120 days off their pilot process, and their portfolio that we've helped them find use cases for was over $1 billion of value. So you can use our software, I think, to get some really good results that are measurable, that your board, your executives will love, seeing what your true impact is as you try to innovate.
And so in the room here, who considers himself a solution provider? You have solutions for utilities, right? So you have access to this as well.
Come on in.
If I was in business
It's
development,
free.
just saying, I would go in and say, and look at
Yes.
what, and say, hey, I can do this with you. I mean, this is a way to get information. So I think it's for everybody.
Yeah,
in the
we
room.
would love to have you. And we give away a Most Innovative Solution Provider of the Month award. So we're out there looking for some really innovative
really
solutions.
fun
And come on in. Let's innovate together. Yeah.
So the next topic, I'm going to ask you first because this is near and dear. Obviously, I said we care about people. When you're thinking about team connectivity and collaboration, which is so important, we all need to feel like we belong. We need to feel like our opinions matter. What kinds of technologies are you leveraging at City of Roseville to get to that end?
Well, I would say that we're a little bit unique in that we have a dedicated training and development team. That's a really small team, just so we can be clear. We're a really small utility. But they're dedicated to assisting everyone else in what do you need? What can we do better? How can we optimize this for you? How can we improve that business process? How can we make your life better? And regularly, and I mean monthly, they're going out and they're meeting with different groups. They're training, they're working on what's next, and they're really helping with that buy-in on all of our technology. So I think one of the barriers we face is I don't want to adopt it. I don't like this new thing. And we just get right past that by making sure everyone completely understands how it functions. So there's no trepidation to what do I do? How does it work? I'm not scared to turn it on. Because usually that's the biggest thing we face is I don't know what I'm doing. So we just cut right through that with it's training and development all day for us.
Very nice. Any questions up to this point on anything we've talked about? No? You're shaking your head. I'm going to call on you. Don't make eye contact. Okay.
I don't think we answered the first two questions in terms of what is sustainability, sustainable growth
Let's
development.
do that.
And how does technology get deployed for LMI communities, I think. Those are two.
Let's do that. You want to start us out on what you think sustainability is?
Yes, a brilliant person once said, the only reason they've seen businesses fail is because they run out of cash. And, and so cost savings, efficiency creates sustainability on a corporate level. And of course, being a solar guy, carbon reduction, pollution reduction creates a sustainable world. And so the marriage of those two things to me is what results in a truly sustainable corporate growth environment. Yeah.
Other thoughts on sustainability?
If we go to like the workforce, we can talk about sustainability there. Hiring again has been a challenge for most utilities out there. We've created an in-house sustainable program for advancement, which has worked really well when you see shrinking call centers or shrinking frontline, and again, developed heavily with our teams and moved them through the organization to get back to that space where you have data and analytics and where everyone's moving. They need more there. So we work really hard to keep our teams sustainable. We're not losing people. They feel vested with the business. They're glad that they got to participate and they moved up. And it's a pretty fast move for them. So we're going to keep doing it. It's been a huge success for us, and I look forward to it.
Very nice. So I'm looking at the time, and I think we've got 15 minutes left. Is that correct? And about 10 more questions. No, we don't have 10 more questions. We have quite a few questions. And so the one that you talked about, did you want to ask that question again and see?
Just best methods for leveraging technology to, we have a mixed portfolio of resources, including natural gas all the way to solar, wind, and so on. Just what we have them, they get used, and then we hedge as best we can, but any more sophistication beyond just that to optimize those resources.
Take it.
Can I take that one, boss?
Please, let's do it.
So we work every day on modeling utility districts through load flow models, ETAP, PSSE, PVCAD, and trying to assess where are opportunities for improvement across the grid. Highly recommend hiring a third party to do something like that if you don't have the capabilities internally, or to just double check their thought process based on emerging technologies in that space, because there's a ton happening. And there are, so just to kind of address some of these emerging technologies that are happening, green hydrogen is coming. It's coming fast and it's coming hard. I want to put some numbers around that. So I'm acting CEO of Acme Group. They built the world's first solar to green hydrogen project. They signed the world's first long-term green ammonia contract last month with Yara. And the reason this is relevant is because we will deliver green hydrogen in the United States of America for under $2 per kg. That means that hydrogen is on track to compete with traditional fuel sources, right? Depending where the spot market for green ammonia is right now, we can beat gray ammonia. And ammonia is also a fuel source and type. So green hydrogen will be the first time that a green molecule straight from the sun combined with air and water will create a true battery, long-term, long-duration battery. That makes your that blows your hedge opportunity out of the water, especially when it's combined with pipeline packing, salt dome storage, etc., which is what's happening, especially in Texas, is leading the way. So because these things, even 3 months ago, that was a dream, right? It's only because of Inflation Reduction Act and the associated guidance that came out in December that it's now a reality. And so, I encourage you, it's impossible to maintain all these diverse subject matter experts internally. You can't do it. There's no reason for you to have a green hydrogen expert internally, for example. And same thing with battery storage and the other rapidly emerging technologies. So, getting that type of an assessment it can be really dirt cheap. And extremely valuable. It can be very helpful. Highly recommend.
Sorry, Daniel. When?
Yeah. When the green hydrogen?
Yes.
Must be commissioned end December 31st, 2027 for the first multi-gigawatt project. Yeah, we have a 2.2 gig solar direct to electrolyzer project at Port Victoria. I believe it'll be sign the first long-term green hydrogen contract in the United States here shortly. So soon, not tomorrow, but soon. But from a utility timeline, right? If you plan a career here, utility careers are often lifelong or can be lifelong, and utilities are multi-generational. So 2027 is a blink of the eye from a utility perspective in planning. So it's a fascinating time, but.
It is very fascinating. So one question we didn't prepare for, we don't stick to scripts here. We just sort of prepare people and then we show up. So one thing I think is important to talk about is low-hanging fruit. Like, what things are available out there that you just don't see utilities taking advantage of, that it's there, it's easy, like let's do the stuff that's right in front of us? Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that? Putting you on the spot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I can address the LMI question at the same time. Developed and built and financed 9 of the first 10 community solar projects in the United States going back a decade and a half. Love the model. I wish utilities would just wrap their arms around it, because it's the only model that gives LMI customers access to low cost. Solar is the lowest cost electron ever delivered by humanity. Gives them direct access to low cost green electrons. Because otherwise, solar is only available to folks that can stroke a $50,000 check and have tax liability to absorb the tax benefit that's paid for by all taxpayers, but only enjoyed by the wealthy already. So yes, would love it if utilities would wrap their arms around those LMI opportunities, and it's definitely happening. But
we actually have community solar, and we do see a large number of our lower income customers participating. It is a fantastic program to be able to offer, and we have a waiting list years long to get on.
Yeah.
And we only lose people when they move,
Yeah.
and the list is gigantic for everyone that wants to participate. There's lots of opportunities.
there's the voice of the customer, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Other low-hanging fruit?
We haven't talked about software, and I haven't talked yet about digital twin technology. So something I saw at Distributech this year that I thought was pretty interesting was some use of digital twin technology that was allowing utilities to avoid having to hang sensors on lines to pull data back, and so that they've been able to actually digitally twin lines to be able to show you where to focus, like your vegetation management program. So I have been hearing about digital twin technology for a while, but I hadn't seen the killer app for it until this year at Distributech. I thought it was quite fascinating on how they could actually build a modeling around being able to look at your lines and do some predictive modeling, but without having to hang sensors or maintain them. So that's pretty cool. I think there's some really interesting software solutions coming to market these days that are going to help. Yeah.
Andrea, anything to add?
I think they nailed it, and I do think community solar is a huge, easy, low-cost way to proceed. Every day we're looking at something new. I think in terms of sustainability and where we're going, I think Roseville specifically, we're looking at battery. I think that's where we have to go. The question is, how do we fund it? What do we do with it? Right. But we're looking at both applications on the commercial, the C&I, and the residential space, as well as on our own power plant. So we'll see what happens.
It happens. So with the brief time we have left, I would like to see if any of you have had an aha moment where you're like, I didn't think of that. I'm going to look into that when I go back to work. Is there anything where you were like, that was great?
Yeah, I'm writing an RFP in my head.
We've got an AI tool for that.
Any other aha moments? I think sometimes it's nice when we talk about them because others will say, yeah, I thought that too. I don't know. Anything materialize for you? Yes.
I think your comment about the wicked problem, I think we have some major trade-offs that we have to make. So when I was kind of looking at your economic uncertainty, there's a finite amount of resources, of human capital and economic capital, and we have so many different goals that we're trying to meet with the same. So we have these, I guess, LMI. I'm not even up on the acronyms, but disenfranchised or whatever the current acronym, and then we've got huge entities, major, energy companies that are trying to figure out how to cash in on this. We've got startups, we've got utilities in the middle, we've got, this major amount of stimulation. So from my vantage point, my question really is, how do we balance all those objectives and actually be successful in achieving these sustainability goals with technology? Because I don't know, I feel like maybe I'm getting to the point that I'm moving from kind of the idealist to maybe start being skeptical. And help me understand how do we set the right expectations, with our communities, and with each of us individually. Like, are we going to really be successful? So, that's my real question is like, are we going to be successful?
We need a plan. If you were there this morning, I think the timelines are tight, and we're moving. The industry's moving very, very fast, which is helpful. But we have some really tight timelines in California, a little bit past what everybody else is seeing. And on some fronts, we absolutely know we're not going to make it, and we know we're not going to make it right now for 2030 and 2040, and we know. We won't admit that on a state basis. If we can just throw that out there, we're going to ride that in till the very last minute. But there's, for us, just kind of data-wise, 1 in 4 cars in California is an EV. We don't even have enough power to keep our grid up all year. We have blackouts every summer, statewide. A couple years ago, I don't know if you guys know, we actually ran the Amber Alert system in California to get people. It worked beautifully, but we ran the Amber Alert system to get people to turn their power down. It's a process. So I think, where's it all going to come from? How are we going to make it happen? How are we going to support our customers' needs? There's not enough chargers for the cars that we even have right now. What are you going to do? We have massive charging stations in Roseville, every one of them is full all night long. People are driving their car, plugging it in because they don't have chargers in their house. And they're either lifting or walking or Ubering home or whatever they're doing. But you can drive by at 2 o'clock in the morning. These are in commercial centers.
Is that sustainable?
No, that's the question. Yeah, so what are we going to do? So for us, from the utility side, we're trying to dig in. How do we move forward? How would we keep providing what the customers need? How do we get everything we need faster? And I don't know that I have a good answer for it. I just know that the problem is there, and we all can see it, and we can feel it. Our customers know. We talk to them all the time. Our council members know. They're like, you need more EV chargers. That's great. We know that. How do we get it in? So I think it's just one of those things that we're all going to face. And I think we do need a plan. I think we want to try to get there. I think we hope that we can get there. We won't get there on everything. But that's okay. If we do most of it, I think it's still success.
So I wanted to conclude with reading something to you, if you will indulge me for a moment. I think this is just a really interesting case study, not related to utilities. Anyone in the room from Boston? Love Boston. I love Boston, right? On Monday, April 15, 2013, Boston Emergency Medical Services and other agencies transported scores of patients to local hospitals within 90 minutes of the two explosions. I get a little emotional about this, sorry. At 2:50 p.m. near the Boylston Street finish line of the Boston Marathon. Brigham and Women's Hospital received 39 patients overall, 31 on Monday and 23 of these in the first hour. Many of these patients had severe injuries, including penetrating head and neck injuries and extinguishing orthopedic blast injuries. Other trauma centers in the area received similar patients in similar numbers. Overall, amazing, only 3 people were killed in the Boston Marathon bombings. And the reason why, there's a wonderful book, it's called You're It, Leading When It Matters Most. The reason why is because of all the planning that was done since 9/11 and all the ways they came together. I mean, they had a plan, like depending on if something happened, what hospitals they would go to. 3 people died, and within 72 hours they caught, which was unprecedented, catching these people. So when we think about wicked problems, can we stop terrorist attacks? We would hope so. No, we're not going to stop them overall, but it's the preparedness. It's having conversations like these. It's getting together. We work in an industry, like I work primarily with regulated utilities, where we get together and we're like, I'm going to open up. I'm going to tell you where I'm struggling. We're going to get together. We can make these situations better. Technology can help with economic uncertainty. Planning can help with emergency preparedness. In our industry, this stuff isn't going to stop. We are going to continue to be hit by this stuff, but we have to keep coming together and having the conversations. So again, that book, it's called You're It. Highly recommend it. I usually bring copies with me everywhere I go, but I give them away so much that I'm completely out. So if anyone wants a copy, I would be happy to send you one. But thank you so much to our panelists. You stepped in. I would like to thank Z Prime. They changed the slide while we were sitting here. I mean, that is service. Someone raised their hand? Yes, sir.
Just touching on that point where definitely agree with the whole, you become skeptic at some point with these technologies, and specific to the example in California here, the narrative that seems to be going now is push EVs because it's going to be the answer for the grid, right? And clearly it's not the answer, and it's causing more problems. But however, it's not the bad, wicked thing. It's a tool at the surface level, where then we go further down the rabbit hole and we talk about pattern behavior from humans. And so decrease the load, right? Like, how do you do that? You got to change the mentality. So that taking to that next step, at what point do we cause this narrative to change, where I think part of it is we need to help transition to a self-sustainment perspective. How much can I self-sustain at home? Therefore, the load demand goes down because I'm creating and doing that myself. But there's that financial gap, right? Like you said, with the only certain amount can install solar battery storage to decrease the load because they're independent. But where do we make this narrative now come to fruition and rise to the surface, where we're actively trying to approach that problem and decrease the load? Do y'all see that as
That is a fantastic question.
Go
for it.
That relates to that. So I heard this earlier today. So there's 2 things that I think so. One is, we all know what we talk about every day. The consumer does not have a clue of anything that was just said in this room. They speak a totally different language, and we need to speak to consumers differently. So I think that's key. But the second thing is,
I was told a story earlier today about somebody who was renting, they just finished a lower level in their house, so they were renting it out. They rented it to a woman who was in her early 40s. And they included power as part of the rental, the property owner. And they're like, they got their first utility bill, and it was like 3 times more than they ever expected. So they went down and they sat the woman down and they're like, do you know how much power you use? She was like, I've never paid for power in my life. I have no idea. It's always been part of my thing. So they walked around. It turned out she was running space heaters in every room and then had fans on to circulate the air. And she was, plus, you know, all the other things plug in. And so they're like, you're gonna have to start paying for your power. Because she's like, I'm never gonna change, this is how I live. Like, I love the noises that are happening, you know? But she just, like, there was no connection there that if she turned off the space heaters or what have you, apparently she lived like that every day, no matter what the temperature was, all year. So there's just you know, there's so many pieces to what you were saying that we all need to think about, because to me, I was like, she's 40 and she's never paid a utility bill before.
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of interesting in and of itself. But that's the kind of thing that voice of the customer, everything that we've been talking about here. There's stories we can't think of, right? People do things that you would never imagine. So.
Thank you for that. Well, thank you. I think we could all just go to dinner and talk about this for hours. So.